In the small, fog-enshrouded town of Ravenwood, there stood an abandoned asylum, its history as dark and twisted as the gnarled trees that surrounded it. The building, once a beacon of hope for the mentally afflicted, now lay in ruins, a decaying testament to human despair. Its forsaken halls were home to nothing but the wind's mournful howls and the occasional daredevil seeking a thrill. Yet, there were rumors, unsettling tales that chilled the bones of even the most skeptical townsfolk. They spoke of unexplained screams that echoed through the night, originating from the desolate asylum that it began as a dare. Four friends, eager to prove their bravery, decided to explore the asylum one fateful night. Alice, the most reluctant of the group, had always been sensitive to the supernatural. Tom, her protective older brother, agreed to join to ensure her safety. Along with them were Jake, the thrill-seeker, and Lily, the group skeptic, determined to debunk the myths surrounding the eerie structure. As they approached the asylum, the atmosphere grew dense, the air heavy with an unspoken dread. The building loomed before them, its windows like hollow eyes, watching in silent judgment. They entered through a broken door, the sound of their footsteps echoing off the walls. Inside, the asylum was a labyrinth of corridors and rooms, each more chilling than the last. The friends found remnants of the past, tattered patient records, rusted medical equipment, and walls scarred with desperate scribbles. As they ventured deeper, a sense of unease grew within them, a feeling that they were not alone. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream pierced the silence, echoing through the halls. The group froze, hearts racing. The scream was followed by another, then another, each more agonizing than the last. The sound seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, impossible to trace. Terrified but compelled to uncover the source, they pressed on. Alice felt a chill run down her spine as she sensed an unseen presence, a sorrow so profound it was almost tangible. In an old patient ward, they discovered the walls covered in frantic, claw-like markings, as if someone had tried desperately to escape an invisible tormentor. Then, the impossible happened. The screams morphed into whispers, forming words that seemed to seep out from the very walls. "Help us," they pleaded, a chorus of voices lost to time. The air grew colder, and the shadows seemed to move of their own accord, twisting and writhing in the dim light. In their search for answers, they stumbled upon a hidden basement. Here, the source of the asylum's pain was laid bare. Shackles lined the walls, and the remnants of old, crude experiments lay scattered around. This was a place of unimaginable suffering, a hidden chamber where the most tormented souls were subjected to inhumane treatments. The whispers grew louder, more insistent. "Free us," they begged. Alice, her empathy overwhelming her fear, felt a deep connection to these lost souls. She realized these were the spirits of patients, trapped in perpetual agony, their screams an echo of their eternal suffering. As they attempted to leave, an otherworldly force barred their way. The spirits, desperate for release, saw them as a beacon of hope. In a frantic bid for freedom, Tom found an old journal. It belonged to the asylum's last doctor, filled with remorse and confessions of the atrocities committed within these walls. Realizing the spirits needed closure, Alice read the journal aloud. As she spoke, the air lightened, the shadows receded, and the whispers softened. With each word, the spirits found peace, their screams fading into silence. The friends emerged from the asylum just as dawn broke, forever changed by their experience. They had faced the horrors of the past and brought peace to tormented souls. The town of Ravenwood would never know what transpired that night, but the echoes of the asylum's screams would forever be silenced. The asylum stood silent now, a relic of a bygone era. Yet, In the hearts of those who braved its halls, the memory of that night lived on, a haunting reminder of the suffering endured and the spirits they had set free. In the weeks following their harrowing experience, the group tried to resume their normal lives. Yet, the asylum's shadows lingered in their minds. Alice, in particular, found herself haunted by the events. Nightmares plagued her sleep, filled with echoing screams and pleading eyes. She began researching the asylum's history, desperate to understand what they had encountered. Her investigation led her to a forgotten tragedy. Many years ago, a fire had engulfed part of the asylum, claiming the lives of numerous patients. These were the souls they had encountered, trapped between worlds, their agony fueled by the injustice of their demise. Alice shared her findings with the group. They realized their ordeal was far from over. The spirits may have found some peace, but the full truth of the asylum's horrors remained buried. Driven by a sense of responsibility, they decided to delve deeper into the asylum's dark past. Their quest uncovered a network of corruption and cover-ups. The fire, they learned, was no accident but a deliberate act to silence the patients who were subjected to cruel experiments. The doctor's journal was just the tip of the iceberg, a small piece of a much larger, sinister puzzle. Determined to bring the full truth to light, they returned to the asylum. This time, they were prepared, armed with cameras and recording equipment to document their findings. The asylum, however, had changed. It was as if their first visit had awakened something more sinister, a malevolent force that lurked in the shadows. As they explored, they encountered inexplicable phenomena, objects moving on their own, chilling whispers, and ghostly figures that appeared and vanished in the blink of an eye. The air was thick with the presence of something angry, something that did not want its secrets revealed. In the heart of the asylum, they found a hidden room, untouched by the fire. Inside were records, long forgotten, detailing the full extent of the atrocities committed. As they documented the evidence, the malevolent force revealed itself. A spectral entity, born of the asylum's collective suffering, confronted them, its form a swirling mass of anger and despair. The entity was the guardian of the asylum's secrets, a manifestation of the pain and rage of all who suffered there. It lashed out, seeking to protect its dark domain. The friends, united in purpose, stood their ground. Using the evidence they had gathered, they confronted the entity with the truth, giving voice to the countless victims whose lives had been stolen. The confrontation was intense, the air crackling with supernatural energy. But in the end, the truth prevailed. The entity, recognizing the injustice it had been guarding, dissipated, releasing the last of the trapped spirits. The asylum, once a place of unspeakable horror, was finally at peace. The group emerged in the early hours of the morning, exhausted but triumphant. They had not only uncovered the truth but had also put an end to the cycle of suffering that had haunted the asylum for decades. In the aftermath, the group shared their findings with the world. The story of the asylum's dark past and their role in uncovering it became a sensation. The town of Ravenwood, once shrouded in mystery and fear, became a symbol of justice and healing. Alice, Tom, Jake, and Lily had started as thrill-seekers but emerged as heroes. They had faced their fears, confronted the unknown, and, in doing so, had given peace to restless souls. The echoing screams of the abandoned asylum were silenced, but the lessons they learned about courage, empathy, and the pursuit of truth would echo in their hearts forever.